Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Yes.
I still can't see everyone, and I've been playing with every option on here on this iPad, and I still can't see people.
Same here also on my iPad. I don't have an arrow.
I only see the Social Security benefits.
Okay, we'll have to move forward without you'll be able to see where
We are
recording.
live.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for joining the NACOA webinar. We'll wait a few minutes before we get started and letting a few more participants join us. It looked like the number of participants has leveled out. Becky, are we good to get started?
Yes, please take it away.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to today's webinar with Social Security Administration, and grateful for the National Indian Council on Aging for inviting us to be with you today. I'm Renee Ferguson. I'm the American Indian Alaska Native Executive Lead and also the Deputy Associate Commissioner here at Social Security Administration for the Office of Quality Review. I want to thank you, the leadership of NACOA, because this has been a great collaboration to allow us to gather the experts here at Social Security Administration for today's webinar. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Kayla. Their team has coordinated everything for us to schedule today's webinar with all of you. After about a 30-minute presentation today, we hope to answer as many questions as we can and provide context to schedule more in-depth training if necessary. And we appreciate all that you do, those who are joining us today that address the needs of the aging American Indian and Alaska Native elders. We invited some of our outreach specialists and our field office managers, and they're going to give you an overview of our benefits. They will discuss factors to consider for someone's eligibility for Social Security benefits, Medicare, Supplemental Security Income, known as SSI, and also our appeals process. They will discuss some of the commonly missed benefits for individuals and their families. Our goal is to increase your awareness to ensure access to our programs. And you'll also hear a little bit about our new online tool for applicants for Supplemental Security Income. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll introduce the presenters first, and then when I hand it over to our first speaker, she's going to cover a little bit of the housekeeping rules, and then we'll get started. We have Sandra Chavez. She's our operations supervisor in the Rio Rancho, New Mexico office. Wave if you like, Sandra, so everybody can find you on the screen. We
Hey,
have
everyone.
Peggy Murphy. She's our district manager in Great Falls, Montana. Hey, Peggy. Cindy Velarde is our assistant district manager in Farmington, New Mexico.
Hello.
There you are. Hey, Cindy. Keith Thompson, he's our regional public affairs specialist in the San Francisco region. Hi, Keith. And we have Rhonda Romero, our public affairs specialist in New Mexico. So now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Rhonda, and she is going to let you know how you can ask questions, remain engaged, and the details as we are being recorded.
Hi,
Over to you,
everyone. Thank you, Renee. First of all, I wanted to tell you that we're really excited to have you here today at our webinar, and your webinar, What You Should Know About Social Security Benefits. It's our hope that this webinar is going to give you a broad understanding of Social Security programs and some critical milestones to consider that can affect your benefits. But first of all, I want to just give some housekeeping rules of how we are going to handle questions. So just so you know, today's presentation has been set up in a listen and view only mode. Your camera and microphone have been disabled during the presentation. But to access closed captioning, go down to the Zoom toolbar on the bottom and select the closed captioning option. If you're using your phone or tablet, you may have to select a menu button to access the options available to you. Now, the chat feature is not available. Use the Q&A feature to ask questions during the presentation. So I'm going to explain how to do that, but then I still am going to get to some other housekeeping rules. You know, this always happens during these webinars. So what we want is, we ask that you submit general questions only. We will be holding our responses until the live question and answer part of our class. We suggest you write down your questions on a piece of paper. And we ask this because many of your questions are going to be answered during the presentation. So something may not come up right away. You have a question, but if you just wait till the end, we may answer that for you. So what you can do if your questions aren't answered, you will type them and submit them in the Q&A portion. Now, also, for those of you that are calling and using your iPhone, please use the raise your hand feature on your toolbar. And this is towards the end of the presentation. We're going to let you know when everything is done. What you're going to do is use that raise your hand feature, and Keith will call on you to speak your questions. Now, if you have more personal questions that you prefer not to announce in front of a group, we are going to put up an email in the Q&A feature, and it's also going to be on the slides. And that, I'm just going to mention it briefly. You don't have to write it down now. aian.ec@ssa.gov. Like I said, we're going to post this email again. So if you have more personal questions, you can send them that way. Now, Social Security benefits, they touch the lives of almost everyone at some point in their life. Our goal this afternoon is to alert you to the common misconceptions that we hear that lead to missed entitlements. We will cover how to obtain a Social Security number and card. We will also cover retirement, survivors, and disability benefits. We are also going to touch on Supplemental Security Income benefits and Medicare. So now I'm going to turn it over to Keith to talk about our cards.
Well, thanks, Rhonda. But before we do that, let's give, we want to give an opportunity for Nicola that invited us to talk a little bit about, and so I'm going to turn it over to Becky Morgan. Are you there?
Yes. Hi, welcome everybody. Well, we've had a good crowd turnout today, so we're so excited that everybody's here and that you'll have some wonderful questions for all these knowledgeable people. I just wanted to remind everybody that the National Indian Council on Aging has been around for over 46 years, founded in 1976. Our mission is to advocate for improved comprehensive health, social services, and economic well-being for American Indian and Alaska Native elders. So we're a national nonprofit. We have a job training program, which we call CSEP, that stands for Senior Community Service Employment Program. We're in many states across the country. We also have another project called the Older Adults Equity Collaborative. And the big thing that's coming this year, and we're very excited about it because I'm from Cherokee, North Carolina, and it's going to be in my hometown, is the Conference on Aging in Indian Country. It's September 25th through 29th, which is a beautiful time to go to the mountains of North Carolina. So please join us. And we're hopeful that these same folks talking today may be there as well, doing another presentation in person. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And thank you for our experts being here today. Back to you, Keith.
Thanks, Becky. Really thankful for the invitation and to speak to you today. And like Rhonda had already mentioned, I'm going to talk about Social Security numbers and card. We're going to do an overview of program benefits and really focus on how to reach us. It's a short presentation, so we really want to emphasize on how you can connect with us. And so before I get started, though, I'd like to take a poll. So if Kayla can help me, I'm curious about your preferred communication style. So more and more, we tend to emphasize our online services because we are excited about all the things that you can do from a computer or your phone. But we know that online services may not work for everyone. So on your screen, you should see a poll that says, what is your preferred method of communication? And I'll just read through those and go ahead and jump in and put your answer. So how many of you still prefer in-person communication? You know, when we're talking about customer service and you're doing your business with government agencies, in person. Now, how about written communication? Like you want to see, you want to get something in the mail, or you need to have that document to hold. Some people may prefer talking on the phone, and as you'll see, the next one is texting. I generally started with phone, but now there's texting is a different type of communication. So you can indicate whether you prefer talking on the phone versus texting. And virtual, like we're here today. I mean, this is a great opportunity. I'm here in Sacramento, California, able to join all of you from all over the nation. And then social media comments or posts. And I particularly added that because that's a new, not necessarily new, but a way that people are communicating and posting information. And it's kind of one way, and then you allow others to respond. So just give you a little time to answer those before we get started. It's good to know just what people prefer. And what we'll do, I'll continue on, and then maybe at the end we'll ask see what the results are. So let's go ahead and get started. So to get an original number or a replacement card, we need to verify your age, your identity, and your citizenship status. So I remember getting my card when I was about 5 years old, but nowadays, SSNs can be assigned through our enumeration at birth program. So most hospitals allow families to complete the Social Security number for their newborns. Now we know everyone does not use this service, but because in some cultures, babies are not named at birth. We just want to review the process for when families need the Social Security number or the card. So oftentimes, adults bring in their birth certificate for proof of identity, but we typically need to see a state-issued driver's license or identification card or US passport. Some tribal IDs work for evidence, but some don't. So you need to work with your local office to know what we can accept. There are different rules for kids. So something you submitted for a child may not satisfy our requirements for an adult. And remember, all documents must be original or certified copies and not expired. We understand mailing your important documents can be challenging. So we now have this new and faster way for you to start the process online. We know that everyone does not have the computer access, but remember, those with data plans on their cell phones can access our site that way. So when you go to the Social Security number and card webpage, which is what's on the screen now, it asks you a series of questions to determine whether or not you can complete the application online, or if you need to bring in documents to the office. If you don't have any corrections or need to change your name, applying online for a replacement card is your most convenient option. Oftentimes, if your address matches our record, you don't need to send evidence or visit an office. Either way, we will mail the card after we process the application. Remember, we don't issue cards at our office, and there's never a charge for Social Security cards. Most of the time, simply knowing your Social Security number is enough. So if you legally change your name due to marriage or a divorce or any other reason, let us know so that we can update your information. It's important that we have your correct earnings so that we can determine your eligibility for benefits. And so now Rhonda will cover how we track your earnings, but I want to check and see if the poll results were available.
Hi,
And if not,
Keith. Do you want me to share those with you?
Oh, there, I see them now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, perfect. So see, whenever I do presentations, I like to ask these questions because I really want to respect the fact that people mostly respect in-person communication. And we don't necessarily get that. So the results, if you can't see them, it's 32% of you, 30 out of the about 94 people answered the questions today, and 32% prefer in person, 24% on the phone. And this is typically our service model. And written 20%, and just 10% of you prefer this video. So this is just really good information for us to understand because, as we offer new online options, our goal is that we all become more comfortable, to use these new tools that are available, but we all obviously prefer, in person, not all of us, but at least 30%. So now I'll hand it over to Rhonda to talk a little bit about benefits. Rhonda?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Keith. So how many of you remember getting your Social Security statement in the mail once a year? And I always mention that I remember that because I would get really excited to see it, rip it open, and I would get to look and see all the wages I had earned and what I had paid into Social Security, how much my benefit would be for retirement, disability, and what my family members would get if something was to happen to me. So right now, we only mail it to folks 60 and older. The statement is still available online. So once you set up a personal My Social Security account, you'll have access to it. Now, remember, the statement provides a record of work history, and it gives you an estimate of future Social Security monthly benefits for you and your family. We keep track of your earnings and will let you know if you have enough credits to qualify for retirement, disability, or survivor's coverage. Now, it's very important you tell us when you see an error so you can get it corrected, since this is how we determine your benefit amount. We will talk a little bit more about that shortly, but I really want to emphasize how important it is to check your statement. The statement has a different look now. It has been redesigned, making it easier to read and understand so that you can find what you need. The new statement provides a bar chart with your personalized estimates for up to 9 different ages, helping you compare various scenarios. We also have new fact sheets based on your age group and your earnings. They help explain the program and eligibility for benefits. The most important thing to remember is that this statement, it goes to whatever address that is filed with the IRS, which could be different if you've moved or you've used a different address with us. So deciding up to retire is up to you, but we want to make sure that you have all the information you need. So get ready. We're going to do another poll. Now, Keith will put that up on the screen. I'm sorry, in the Q&A and the screen. Are you currently receiving Social Security benefits? And do you have a My Social Security account? So we will wait a second to see your responses. And Keith, are they coming up? There they are. Okay, so right now, 88% are not receiving Social Security benefits. And 13% are. So the My Social Security account, awesome job, 61%, and no is 39%. So thank you all for letting us know about that. Now we're going to dive into benefits with Peggy.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, a good job on having a My Social Security account. We love to see that. What I'm going to talk to you about today is retirement and Medicare. So there are some milestone ages with Social Security. You see them on the screen, 62, 65, and 70. Now, most people are familiar with retirement benefits, but there's often a bit of confusion, or still people forget when they can begin retirement, especially since not everyone has the same full retirement month, or same full retirement age, rather. These are the milestones we want you to remember. 62, the earliest, the youngest you can be to get your retirement benefit started. The full retirement age has increased, but you're still able to apply at age 62. 65 is the age you want to remember for Medicare. You can first enroll in Medicare 3 months before your birthday through 3 months after your 65th birthday. And age 70, if you wait until age 70, you'll receive the maximum benefit. There is no advantage to waiting past age 70. Some people have waited past 70 with the understanding that the benefit would continue to increase and have lost out on benefits. And I have 2 examples I'd like to share with you from my service area, and both of them happened recently. I learned of an individual on one of the reservations that is in my service area who was sort of a drifter and was going from place to place. And what he believed was that he had to wait until he was 65 to get his retirement benefits. And so once we discovered that he had this misinformation, the benefits coordinator and myself were able to help him to get his benefits started. He was going without benefits. He was actually homeless because he didn't have his check. So we want to get that information out there that at age 62, you can start your retirement benefits. And then I also recently had a conversation with an elder who said, my Social Security benefit is going to be great. I'm getting it at 72. 72, I've been waiting. And so what he didn't realize is that it wasn't growing past age 70. So that is a missed entitlement. So 2 years of benefits that he didn't receive. So we want you to be aware of 62, 65, and 70. And choosing when to retire is so exciting. And it's a very personal decision based on your own unique circumstance. So it's very important for you to understand what's best for you. Maybe not what's best for your neighbor or a family member, but what's the best time for you to retire. So we're grateful for the opportunity to help you with those questions. I'd also like to talk to you about Medicare. This is an area that people are confused about often. Oftentimes people think if they have IHS coverage, they do not need to enroll in Medicare, and this can lead to missed coverage. Some people do not enroll in Medicare because they cannot afford the premium. and they do not realize that there are some options for assistance through the state and some tribal programs. I'm going to switch from retirement benefits and talk a little bit about spouse and survivor benefits. You may be able to receive a benefit on your spouse's record. The benefit could be up to 50% of your spouse's full retirement age amount if you are full retirement age when you take it. If you qualify for your own retirement benefit and a spouse's benefit, we always pay your own benefit first. You cannot receive spouse's benefits unless your spouse is receiving his or her retirement benefits. Also, if you have a child in the home under age 16, your spouse could qualify for benefits, regardless of age, if they aren't working over the annual limit. When the child turns 16, the spouse's benefit will stop, even though the child's benefit will continue. However, if the child is disabled, the spouse's benefits will continue as long as the child is under their care. There's some consideration for ex-spouses I want to cover too. At age 62, you can receive benefits on an ex-spouse record once they've reached age 62, even if they have not started their benefits. If you were married to them for 10 years or more and you are still unmarried. We'll talk a little bit about survivor benefits now. We often hear that a surviving spouse is often unsure or unaware when they're entitled to benefits or if they're entitled to benefits. When a Social Security beneficiary dies, his or her surviving spouse is eligible for survivor benefits. A surviving spouse can collect 100% of the late spouse's benefit if the survivor has reached full retirement age, but the amount will be lower if the deceased spouse claimed benefits before he or she reached full retirement age. The age requirement is lower for survivor benefits and can begin at age 60 or age 50 if the surviving spouse is disabled. If you're entitled to retirement benefits but haven't applied yet, you have an option. You can decide to apply for either the retirement or survivor's benefits first. You can switch to the higher benefit later. It's important to know your state rules on living arrangements and common law marriage because it determines how you are eligible as a spouse or widow to receive benefits. And I'll turn you over to Rhonda to talk about auxiliary benefits.
Hi, everyone. So a child of a beneficiary can also be eligible for benefits. This is a living beneficiary. Now, more and more grandparents are finding themselves raising their grandchildren. So we get to see many grandparents excited to learn that their grandchild can receive benefits off their record when they adopt their grandchildren. Now, general eligibility requirements are an unmarried child can get benefits if they are younger than age 18, between ages 18 and 19, and a full-time student in high school, or age 18 or older with a disability that began before age 22. Under certain circumstances, we can also pay benefits to a stepchild, grandchild, step-grandchild, or adopted child. Within a family, a child can receive up to 1/2 of their parents' full retirement or disability benefit. If a child receives survivor benefits, they can get up to 75% of the deceased parent's basic Social Security benefit. Now, Keith is going to talk about disability.
Thanks, Rhonda. So disability is something most people don't like to talk about, but some studies show that a worker has maybe 1 in 4 chance of becoming disabled before reaching their full retirement age. So it's important for us to talk about these benefits. There are 2 different disability programs that we manage: Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, and the Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. And we'll talk a little bit more about SSI later. Social Security pays disability to people who can't work because they have a medical condition that's expected to last at least 1 year or longer, or if that person has a terminal illness. So SSA has different criteria for disability than, say, the VA or workers' comp, which can can cause some confusion. Social Security has a strict definition, and we take into consideration many factors that include insured status, medical condition, your work experience, your age, your income, education, your ability to work at a substantial earnings level. And just some background that SSDI, like retirement, is funded through payroll taxes. So both the workers and their employers contribute by paying the FICA taxes. And these taxes translate into Social Security credits. And the number of work credits you need to qualify for disability depends on your age when you become disabled. So generally, you need 40 credits, 20 of which were earned in the last 10 years, ending with the year that you become disabled. So, but for younger workers, fewer credits are required. Now, there are a number of reasons people may not apply for disability. There's stigma, there's lack of medical evidence, or just a fear of the process. But we encourage anyone that is unable to work at a substantial level because of a physical or mental impairment to file for benefits. So now Cindy will talk about the other disability program, SSI. Cindy?
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Keith, for explaining the disability program. Since we administer 2 disability programs, it is easy to be confused about the 2 disability programs. Unlike state assistance programs, the Supplemental Security Income program, which provides monthly payments to people who have limited income and resources, are blind, or who have a disability. SSI are also made to people age 65 and older without a disability who meet financial qualifications. There are strict income and resource requirements to qualify for SSI. Income is money you receive from work, disability benefits, private pensions, and unemployment. Income can also include the value of items you get from someone else, like food and shelter. Social Security doesn't count all of your income. The Nutrition Assistance Program, which is SNAP, and food stamps, they're excluded for SSI purposes. Different states also have different rules on how much income you can bring in each month and still get SSI. Some tribal monies are excluded. Resources include things you own, such as a home and a vehicle. For SSI, the home you live in is excluded. You have 1 car, that's excluded. If you have several in your name, whether you own them, we still count them. We count income from rental property, bank accounts, cash on hand, stocks and bonds also count as resources. Also, to receive SSI, you must meet other program rules about residency and citizenship. Some babies with low birth weight and children with certain disabilities can also be eligible for SSI payments if their household income is below the limit. SSI is also a path to receiving Medicaid, other health insurance, and life-saving benefits such as nutrition assistance and housing support. Social Security is committed to ensuring that people can get the financial support when they need it. That's why we're making it even easier for you to start an SSI application. We recently launched a new online option to request an appointment for SSI. The first step is to let us know that you or someone you know wants to file for SSI. You can request an appointment for yourself or another adult or child. The earlier we know you want to apply for SSI, the sooner you may be eligible to receive benefits. Anyone online can make a request online. All you have to do is answer a few questions. It takes less than 5 minutes. If you are submitting information for someone else, we will also ask for your contact information. If you or someone you know is interested in applying, please visit our website and get started today. We need your help in getting this information out. Please share this with your friends and family and post it on social media. Going to pass it on to Sandra to talk about the representative payee.
Thank you, Cynthia. So with all these benefits, we sometimes understand that people need assistance with managing their benefits. So we're going to talk a little bit about the representative payee program. We all have experienced situations when someone may need help managing their money. Social Security can appoint a person or an organization to act as a representative payee who would be responsible for receiving and managing a person's benefits. Representative payees must also account for how the money is spent and sometimes may need to submit annual reports. You also now have an option to identify in advance up to 3 people that you trust to serve as your future representative payee to help manage your benefits if a need arises. We call this advanced designation. We offer advanced designation to capable adults, emancipated minors who are applying or already receiving Social Security benefits, Supplemental Security Income, or special veteran benefits. With advanced designation, you and your family can enjoy peace of mind knowing someone you trust may be appointed to manage your benefits. In addition to representative payee, we also have situations where you may not agree with a decision that we have made here at Social Security. So lastly, if you have a decision that is made about your benefits and you disagree with them, SSA has an appeals process. You have 4 opportunities to file an appeal. So let's kind of go over the levels of appeals. So to start with, if you ask us to reconsider a decision you would like to file, you would request a reconsideration. This is to review that initial decision that was made. If you are denied at that reconsideration level, you would then file a request for a hearing with an administrative law judge. At this level, you would be able to present your appeal before a law judge. The third level is to have the appeals council review the administrative law judge's decision. And the final level is to file a federal court action with the U.S. District Court if you don't agree with the appeals council. All of these levels, of course, have a 65-day time frame to file the appeal. So it is extremely important to make sure that your address is always updated with us so that if we send you a letter, you will know the time frame, the clock has started ticking. We now currently offer access to filing the appeal on the online website. Not only can you file the appeal, but you can check status of the appeal. And once the decision has been made, you can see the decision immediately online. So that's it for me. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Renee.
Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, team. I think we would like to move into our Q&A session because we've got a few questions that are posted. We're not going to call out anyone's names. We're just going to ask the question and our experts here are going to answer. So this is fully anonymous. And please think about some of the questions that we have here and post yours so we can see your questions. And also, if you're not able to continue to stay on the webinar with us, we do here have on the screen for you an email address that you can submit your questions to there as well. That's American Indian Alaskan Native. So that's an I, AI, sometimes they look like L's. It's aian.ec@ssa.gov. And our team here will receive your questions. Feel free to do so there. And we've got a couple questions coming in. First of all, Keith, they're asking about where they might be able to access this recording after today's session. Many would like to have the slides, but if we have the slides along with our talking points here in the recording, are they going to be able to access the recording afterwards? I do know we're on Facebook Live now, but is there going to be a way to access it afterwards?
It will be available on YouTube, and we'll also be sending a mass email out to all registrants.
Thanks, Kayla. We appreciate you. Okay, so we've got some questions coming in. I thought we might kind of go in order of some of these that are here, and we do have one. I'm just going to ask the question, and then those who cover the material can chime in. I work with clients that may not have an ID or SNAP or wages with a W-2. So I have a lot of trouble ordering replacement cards for clients under state guardianship. Can you share what other documents we can use, or where we can go to see a list of those documents that can be used?
Well, I can jump in and I can maybe pull up on our website where we do have a list of those documents of what we call secondary evidence that you could bring in. But that is a great question, because that often happens. As we wanted to mention, and there's a list of acceptable documents on the website, and I believe in one of the publications.
Great. We'll let Keith think about that one, locate it, and get your response to your question. So Keith is going to try to pull those up. Let me go to the next question while you're doing so, Keith. We cannot apply online due to representing the client and them not having their own email, phone, etc. Often we have the wrong address listed for clients. They don't match up and we cannot get information. I believe this is applying online, or maybe the My Social Security account. So I'm not sure. Let's see if Rhonda, can you
Yes.
take that question?
So Melanie, sorry, I said the name. Apologize. Now, when you represent a client, if they are sitting with you right there, you're able to file it online. And like you said, if they don't have an email, it makes it harder to do the application online. However, we can schedule something by phone if you're unable to set up a My Social Security account for your client. You can call your local field office and schedule it. But a way to do that, if you're filing for SSI, there is an online tool you can use at ssa.gov. And what that will do is it's going to ask you a few general questions for eligibility, but it goes to your local field office and it lets them know that you're wanting to schedule an appointment. So that may be a way for you to go with your clients. What it does is it's a protective filing date. It lets us know in the office that you're trying to reach us and you're trying to get an appointment, and then somebody will respond to you and try to get you an appointment with your local office. Just so you know, some of the appointments, it is booked out about 30 days. So that could happen. Also, with your question earlier, with your clients that don't have an ID or SNAP or wages, if they've been seen by a medical professional recently, I believe it's within the year, Sandra may be able to help me with this, or one of the managers, you are able to use a medical, something showing that they're a patient at a clinic, at an IHS facility, and that can be used as ID as long as it has their name and their date of birth.
We have to
Even better-
consider it
Pardon me?
needs to be, I'm sorry to interrupt. It needs to be considered certified, which means it needs to be signed or stamped and dated by the facility. Another great document that we use is a Medicaid card that is signed, stamped, or dated, or any other health insurance cards that may have your name and date of birth on it. We can use that. So those are the most common documents that we would use.
Thank you.
Perfect. Keith, I'm going to check with you. Do you have anything to pop up on the screen for us, or should we move on to the next question?
No, you can move on.
Okay, we'll keep going. All right, we have a question about what other income counts towards supplemental SSDI, asking if the spouse's income counts.
I can answer that. Yes.
Nice.
If a person who files for SSI is married, we count the spouse's income. And earned income, money that you get from working, it's counted we count about half of it. There's a formula that we use and we count about half of it. But then we have another category that's unearned income, which counts almost dollar for dollar. And that's like unemployment, any pensions that you get, any tribal assistance or state assistance that you get, that income counts.
Excellent. Thank you. How about this one? If you receive benefits in California, can you move to another state?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Now, if it's SSI, some states have a coverage that their state a supplemental that makes it a little bit higher. So if somebody is receiving SSI and they move, let's say, to my state, New Mexico, they'll get a lower amount because the state kicks in and gives a little bit extra money. So they would get a lower amount, but they have to report it with SSI because that way they get Medicaid in the state that they move to. If it's retirement or disability benefits through Social Security, yes, of course, you can move anywhere you want. Just let us know your address.
Thanks, Rhonda. And I believe we've got another great question. This one's on widows benefits. How old do you have to be to apply for widows benefits and be eligible?
I'll take that one, Renee.
Thank you.
Yes, so for survivors benefits for widows and widowers, the age is 60. Oftentimes, like I said, sometimes people think that it's the same as the retirement benefit and they wait until 62. But at age 60, a widow or widower could be eligible for benefits, and they could also receive benefits at the age of 50 if they're disabled.
Thank you, Peggy. I'm also typing the questions in, the answers in, and sending them so they also have it in writing back to their questions. Okay, next question. Will this presentation be sent out to our email address? So I believe Kayla shared that she will be sharing this after today's session ends. Next question. If a grandparent wants benefits for their grandchildren, must they be adopted first? Let's see, I think Peggy is trying to weigh in here. This one's yours.
Okay. All right, I can jump in on that one. And the short answer is yes. The grandchildren must be adopted first to receive benefits on their grandparents' record. They would receive auxiliary child benefits at the time an adoption takes place. I often see this situation with grandparents raising their grandchildren. The other scenario that I run into is grandparents may have custody of their kids, but they're the payee. The children may be receiving benefits on their parents' record who are unable to take care of them at this point, and the grandparent steps in as the payee for the child. So we see that situation a lot, and but the adoption is what makes that child eligible to receive children's benefits on the wage earners number.
Thank you, Peggy. What is the process if you are told you have to pay back money that you have received? So we haven't really covered overpayments here.
I can take it.
Okay, thanks, Sandra.
Okay, so it is in a sense kind of like an appeal. So when you're looking at any decision that we have made, first you will get notification, and within that notification, it will say if you do not agree with this situation or this decision, and you have been overpaid and you need to pay us money back, there are steps that we can help you follow. With that being said, we consider an overpayment something where you have two options. One, you have the option for us to review the record, which is a reconsideration to figure out, do we have all the information correct on record? So you're basically questioning whether the facts on the record are correct. If our information is correct, but you feel that you weren't at fault and that you do not have money to pay this overpayment back, we have another option called a waiver request. That waiver request can be filled out. We make a determination on that to determine if you are found at fault and have to pay it back. Then we have another option that we can lower the payment arrangement if you cannot pay it back within 36 months. So we have many options to help assist you with any issues that arise when there's an overpayment. The best thing I find on those situations is to either visit your local office or contact us over the phone, and we can explain that letter that you have before you, what we can do to assist you with that overpayment and regarding having to pay something back.
Thanks, Sandra. We also have another question here about resources counting a certain type of funds, whether it counts for SSI on an individual's resource. And it says Cal Able. So I'm guessing this is something maybe Keith can weigh in on. You're on mute, Keith.
There.
There you
Now I'm off mute. Sorry. Sorry about that.
No, it does SSI count Cal Able funds as an individual's resource? I'm guessing this is some fund in California. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and so I have to look that up. I believe Cal Able is it's not counted.
Right.
I'm sorry, Keith, you said you believe it does not count towards SSI for income and resources?
Yeah, it does not count. It's Cal Able is generally like an account that you can set aside funds if you are receiving benefits that won't impact the amount that you're receiving. It's designed so that you can set aside for particular for other equipment, but it doesn't impact your SSI.
Thanks, Keith. Next question. If you continue to work past 70 years of age, are you saying that we no longer will earn credit for income earned and see that increase reflected in the Social Security monthly payment amount?
I'll jump in on this one. I think this was from my slide that you're remembering 62 and 65 and 70. And what I was referring to in that age 70. So if you've stopped working, there's no advantage in you waiting past age 70 to take your maximum retirement benefit. That's for somebody who's not working and they're just waiting and hoping that their Social Security benefit is growing. So it stops growing at age 70. But when you're continuing to work past age 70, which is what your question is, working past age 70, the answer that nobody likes is it depends, but it really does depend because we're using your 35 highest earnings of your lifetime. So if one of those years past age 70 is a high earning year, it could replace a lower year from the past, and we would continue to do an adjustment. So I don't want you to have that impression that your highest working years, if they are past 70, they would still contribute to your benefit. Absolutely.
Thanks, Peggy. Another question is in regards to Alaska residents. I'm not sure we have someone on the phone here who'll be able to answer on this webinar, but we can get you their answer to your questions afterwards if we don't know the answer right now. The question is, does Alaska resident dividends affect SSI, or does enrolled Alaska Native core funds affect SSI? And I do not have those exclusions memorized. I know, Keith, you were able to pull up CalAble rather quickly. Does anyone have the answer to this question, or should we get back to them after the webinar?
This one, I believe we would have to look up since none of us right now are from Alaska. And so usually we are very familiar with exclusions within our own state. So unless somebody speaks up in the next couple seconds, I can go ahead and research that and get back to them.
Okay, I'm responding in the
Thank you.
question to let them know that they can send the question to our aian.ec@ssa.gov so that we can answer their question directly after we do some research on their specific funds that they're mentioning. Okay, are there burial benefits?
I can answer that one. So we still pay a $255 lump sum benefit to a surviving spouse or surviving children of a wage earner. So the person has to be insured, had paid into Social Security, and then their spouse could receive a $255 payment. Or if there's children under the age of 18, we pay that benefit to the children.
Thank you, Peggy. That is one lump sum payment. And that is it. There is no additional burial funds that are provided. So that was a great question. Next, I believe the resident monies are called Alaska Permanent Residency Funds. Okay, so we will look at that very specific type of fund for you. Thank you for the clarification on the subsequent Q&A.
Are they also considered Alaska Native Regional and Village Corporation distributions? Because those we do exclude up to $2,000.
Good point, Sandra. Do you want to clarify that just one more time, and then they can post a subsequent question if that doesn't answer it? I'll let you go over that one more time, Sandra.
So there's different, like Alaska Permanent Fund dividends. There's Alaska distribution based on regional and native areas. So there's a few different types of dividends or funds that are paid to Alaskan residents. So if we could have clarification of what it is, I can help answer that question.
Okay, next question. Is the VA compensation counted if a spouse is receiving SSI benefits? VA compensation. Will that count against the spouse who's receiving SSI?
I can jump in on that one. So this is where we talked about earlier that it's confusing because we offer two different disability programs. So if you were receiving disability benefits and your spouse was receiving VA compensation, it would not affect the benefit at all. If you're receiving SSI, like the question asks, all income in the house is going to count for income in that household. So to answer the question, yes, any income that's coming in, whether it's from the VA or from wages or from any other pension, is going to count for the household income.
Excellent. Thank you, Peggy.
And Renee, on there's a question up there that has 3 parts.
Yes.
And I can take number 3 very easily. Number 1 and number 2, I might rely on a technician who's done this a little bit more
Sure.
recently that I have, but that number 3 question says if you have a military retirement pay, does your Social Security amount get reduced, or does your military retirement pay get reduced? And as long as that military retirement or income was based on wages that you paid into Social Security, neither one of those benefits would be reduced. You would get your full Social Security benefit and your full military retirement benefit.
Excellent, thank you. And then others here, experts that are joined us, please take a look at questions 1 and 2. The question, if you scroll up, is posted at 142, if that helps you.
I can answer number 1.
Hey, Sandra, grab it, go for it.
Okay, so I think what you were trying to say is that if someone when you turn 70 or 71 and you pass away, it's dependent on when the primary person took their benefits. So we look at the primary insurance amount versus what they're actually receiving currently. So when we look at that, so if, for instance, if the individual took their benefits at age 66 or 63, we're going to look at that primary insurance amount and not the check. Sometimes it does end up that we pay them the amount of the check that the person is receiving, because we're always going to pay the higher amount. So if the widower is receiving a lower amount, we're always going to look at that spouse's record, but it's not always going to be that amount. For instance, we had a person who her husband was 72 when he passed away, and she was already full retirement age. So she thought that she should get, he was getting delayed retirement credits, which means he was getting a much higher benefit of $4,000. And she thought that she was going to get half of that, or that full amount of the 4,000, or at least 2,000. So, but he took his benefits early. So we had to look at a $3,000 figure versus a $4,000 figure. And she ended up getting $1,500. He wasn't deceased. I apologize. He was a living earner. So it doesn't always happen that you're going to get that higher amount. It depends on when your spouse took the benefits before he passed away. Hopefully I didn't confuse him.
But if there's a second question to that, feel free to submit it here. If you want to add another layer to that question. How about question number 2? Can you take that one as well, Sandra?
Sure. So if the lower earner spouse takes early 62 retirement benefits based on their own record, will it reduce the amount of their survivor benefit from the higher earner spouse? No, we look at, we supplement it. So what we look at is how much they are going to be eligible as a widower. We look at that amount, and if for instance, they are due $1,500 and you're only receiving $800, then we're going to supplement that and make it a $1,500 check. So we have to look at that number, the person who passed away, we have to look at their record and determine a few things on that record to determine, but they're not going to be decreased. Most of the time, they will be increased to a higher amount.
Excellent, thank you. Next question is regarding Social Security for someone's child who has a disability. This is an individual who is a single parent and was informed that their income was too high. What is the income range for Georgia? This
can
may
take
be
that
for
question.
SSI. You got
I can
that
take
one?
that question. Yes.
Oh, Cindy, go ahead, Cindy.
We count the parent's income, and it all depends on the household. We make exclusions for other children who are in the household. So it just depends on the household situation and the type of income, whether it's earned or unearned, that the parent is bringing in. And the exclusion for each child can vary if they have income. So check, you may call the 800 number and share more detailed information with them, and they can give you an amount, or go to your local field office and they can run some numbers for you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Mhm.
I think
Will
we can
we
go back to the Alaska residency funds if you want me to answer that.
go for it?
All right, so I believe what you're asking is Alaska permanent fund dividends. That's paid once a year. It's usually paid in October. So that that check that's received once a year, the full amount of that payment counts as income to the person that is receiving SSI regardless. So it's we do count it as income in that month that they receive it.
Thank you, Sandra. Next question, for widows and widower benefits, what is the supported document for disability verification? I assume we're talking about.
April, are you asking about disabled, I'm sorry, Renee, disabled widows benefits?
Yes.
Okay. So that still goes through a disability decision. Like if anyone was filing for disability with the agency.
And I'll just jump in. That's a really good question because oftentimes people ask us if they can receive disability benefits for a temporary disability, or what we look for in our definition is that it's a disability that's going to last at least 12 months, and it is at some level preventing you from able to work at the level that you used to work. And so again, like Rhonda said, the disability decision is the same for any of our benefits, whether it's disability benefits, SSI benefits, or widows benefits. The same disability decision has to be determined. And when we take the applications in our offices, we send those to our disability determination offices where they look at the medical evidence and they make the decision for us.
Thank you, Peggy. Here's the next question, is someone who claims full retirement benefits able to apply for survivor benefits from a spouse who passed away 2 years previous?
I think the 2-year rule, I'm sorry, this is Sandy. The 2-year rule is the lump sum death payment. But the widow's benefit, of course, is based on whether you're between the ages of 50 or 60. We look at your benefit amount. So the 2 years is a confusing time frame because that truly is used only based on applying for the lump sum death payment, which is $255. Otherwise, you would go by age to determine whether you're eligible for survivor's benefits and marriage.
Thank you. Next question is also on widows' benefits. When the spouse passes away and the widow applies for their benefits, what determines the amount that they are going to get if both are already receiving Social Security benefits? Their mother was informed that she would receive a one-time payment of $300. Sandy, I think that's back to what you were just covering.
So the one-time payment is not $300, it is $255. So when we look at a widower, we look at whether they were already receiving a portion of their spouse's benefits, or we look to see if they were always on their own record. We have to determine if they are eligible for a higher amount. So that one-time $300 payment was probably $255, and that was truly for the lump sum death payment That used to be what we called like a burial payment when it was created. Otherwise, we would want to look, and you can always contact us to see if maybe there's a little confusion on if mom was already receiving benefits, partial benefits as a spouse, and they automatically will convert that person to a widow. Or if she was on her own record, we have to look at his record or her record to determine what you're eligible for. So that question is something that we would need to look at the records to make a good, accurate determination.
So Sandy, what you're saying is they may be eligible for a different amount now. They were both receiving Social Security benefits before and one passes away. They do need to report that. It would be a $255 lump sum death benefit, but also Social Security needs to make a determination if the amount changes for the surviving spouse.
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
That was much simpler. I talk in Social Security language.
That's great.
Sorry.
Great. These are some great questions. Keep them coming. We've got many more to get to. So will we actually receive a copy of the PowerPoint? I did. The session is being recorded and will be available afterwards. NACOA team is going to release it afterwards. Next question. If a Native American is currently receiving SSI and retirement, they're getting both benefits, and they are receiving the quarterly per cap from their reservation casino assets, will it be calculated as a resource? This is a per capita payment, I believe, and I think maybe Sandy can take that one. Or was there someone else chiming in?
I'm unsure of the answer to that. I can look it up.
Yes, that's what I'm doing. Certain per capita payments are excluded, but we just have to look up and also find out exactly where they would be coming from. So if that's something,
the answer is it depends.
It depends on,
It
yes,
depends.
that's your answer. It depends. So if it is something that is coming from, depending on which tribe, and a lot of them can be excluded, but some of them aren't. So we would have to kind of get more specific on it. And you could email that to us, or you could ask it right on the chat.
I'm going to let them know that we may need more information to determine if that exclusion applies. So they could please submit the question to aian.ec@ssa.gov. And we should be able to look up your question and give you more details. An exclusion may apply is the short answer, but it does depend. Okay, so next. Some of our SC, SEP applicants are concerned that if they receive wages from the SC, SEP program, they will lose their Medicaid insurance benefits. Can we advise them on whether or not this is true? Anybody here on the panel familiar with this program? They could speak to it.
I'm double checking because we received similar questions in the past, and I believe it's like the last answer, it depends, but I believe they are excluded.
Okay, we have a couple of those, or I see maybe one other one posted. So we'll have to look at that program. Let us get back to you. I think Keith is going to research the name of that program. And if you want to repost a question to give some additional information on that program, it may help with the search. Next question. What happens? I'm sorry, Rhonda, did you have an answer?
And that individual can email me personally on that one,
Okay.
because I know the name.
Okay,
So
so Rhonda,
they
you
can, for the
answer.
Indian, yeah, for the
Okay.
per capita ones. I'm sorry, for the previous one before.
For the previous one, the per capita. Okay, so you can go under answered link there, Rhonda, and scroll down for their name, and you can provide them the method to
Yes.
an additional answer to that question. Thank you. Okay, and then what happens when a client passes away? What happens to their SSI or their SSDI benefits? What happens when a client passes away? I assume you're asking about if there's benefits to a survivor for the client. Survivor's benefits. Does anybody want to speak to survivor's benefits slide?
Yeah, I can jump in and say, what we're looking at again is the two different programs. So if we're talking about disability and retirement benefits versus SSI benefits, there's no survivor benefits to the SSI benefits. So at the time of the recipient's death, those benefits just stop. There wouldn't be survivor benefits on our SSI program, but on the other program, on our retirement and disability benefits, that's when we look at survivor's benefits. If the number holder was receiving benefits and had paid into Social Security, that's when we have that discussion about survivor benefits.
Thank you, Peggy. Was posting that into the response. Excellent. Next question. Does the client have 3 months before and after the age of 62 to apply for benefits? 3 months before and after? Who can take that?
I can answer that.
Thanks, Andy.
So most people have been told that they need to apply 3 months prior to turning age 62. So if you apply online, that's a good starting point 3 months prior to make sure that the claim is processed timely. So if they want to be able to, if I turn 62 in July, I want to make sure that I receive, because you'll start your benefits in August and those benefits are paid in September. So I want to make sure that I get my claim processed timely. So realistically now, if our calendars are usually out in the field offices, so applying online is a great option. I would highly recommend applying maybe 2 months prior to turning age 62. The 3 months after age 62, I think that's dealing with a Medicare bit of information, the initial enrollment period. So for age 62, 3 months prior to turning age 62 is a great time frame if you want to receive benefits timely, or at least contacting us 3 months prior to turning age 62 to set an appointment.
Excellent.
Or file online.
Yes, and I'd like to just add a little bit to that. Do not wait till 3 months after your 62nd birthday, because there's no retroactivity. So for 62, if you want your benefits to start when you turn 62, don't wait 3 months and think that you have that window that you have to enroll for for Medicare. I'm sorry. So you want to get to us if you want your benefits to start when you're 62. The other thing that a lot of people have a little bit of confusion about is if your birthday is in July, like Sandra's example, the month that you're 62 for the whole month.
Good point, Peggy.
She froze, I think.
Yeah. Did you want to finish your sentence, Sandy?
So she's saying that if my birthday's in July, I have to be 62 for an entire month in order to be eligible for my 62nd birthday. So if my birthday's in July, we actually don't count you 62 until August. So the full month of August then is paid in September. So that's also something to be aware of, because if you think you're going to get paid a check in August, then you will, and you plan for it, it may mess you up. So you'll always want to make sure that it's the month following the month you turn 62. So July, my birthday's July, I'm going to be eligible in August. August is paid in September.
Thank you. How about the next question on widows and widower benefits? Can a widow or widower apply for survivor benefits many years after their spouse has passed away? Is there a time frame by which they have to apply for widow or widower benefits? Can it be some years later?
I can answer that question. There's no time limit for applying for the survivor benefits. But what we're going to do, if you're receiving retirement benefits on your own record, we're going to look and see which one is more advantageous for you. Which is your own benefit higher, or is the surviving benefit higher? So at the time that you do contact us, we're going to look and see which one is more advantageous for you.
So what you're saying, Peggy, is if they're not already receiving benefits, there's really no time frame by which they must apply after the spouse has passed away.
Right.
However, if they are receiving benefits, we do need to be notified so that we can make a determination if perhaps they could have a higher benefit.
Absolutely. And the great thing about the Social Security Administration is that we actually check for that. So once a year, we'll get a list of possible beneficiaries who could be due a higher benefit as a survivor. So we keep an eye on that as well. So if you appear on that list, we're going to reach out to you. We're going to do a little bit of research to see if you're getting the maximum benefit from Social Security.
Thank you for that. Next question is about a grandchild benefit. I have a 3-year-old great-grandchild and we need a replacement Social Security card. We have the birth certificate, the mother's birth certificate, and the child's tribal ID card, and the child's Social Security number. But the application asks for information regarding the father. Any guidance that you can offer to get that replacement Social Security card?
First of all, we would need, if you're filing for the card, we would need some sort of custody documents, legal guardian documents that you're the child's legal guardian at the time, because we would need to have that first in order to have you be the one to apply. Now, a birth certificate, is this, oh, you need a replacement Social Security card. So birth certificates we don't use as ID. Now, if the mother has custody and you're going with them, then you could, you know, she would need to have her own ID. But the child, we could use, Sandra had mentioned a few earlier, if they have a Medicaid card, a health insurance card. Same thing with a certified medical document, you know, showing that the child goes to a certain clinic, IHS facility, signed and certified. We can use that as ID also for the child. But the main thing is we would need some sort of legal documentation showing that you have current guardianship of the child. And then, of course, you would have to have ID for yourself when you apply for the card.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Sure.
Next question is on SSI benefits. If the spouse receives SSI benefits, will that death benefit affect the spouse's SSI income? Will the $255 lump sum death benefit be used as income and resources for the spouse that is on SSI?
Yes, it will. It counts the month you receive it.
Thanks, Cindy. Is that do you know if it's the full $255 that would apply?
Yes, because that 255 would be added to the Social Security amount that they already get, and then we get the $20 exclusion, and it would still count for that month.
Thank you. Next question, how is windfall? Oh, this is gonna be a tough question. How is windfall calculated to determine if a client will still have Social Security benefits at the retirement age? We did not get into windfall. That was a very complicated, detailed process.
Are you talking about the windfall elimination provision? Are they talking about not paying into Social Security at another state or federal job and then wanting to view what the retirement would be?
We're going to see if the
Because I can answer the question if that's it.
how about
I
we
figure
answer that
it's windfall.
question? If it's that, how about you answer that question, Sandy? And if it's not, they'll have to repost the question with a little bit more details on the ask here.
Okay, so we call it WEP, which is the windfall elimination provision. What that means is if I was a school teacher and I did not pay into Social Security and I have para, or if I was a federal employee and I worked for a long period of time and I'm going to get a civil service retirement. So, and then I decided to go back into the workforce and pay into Social Security in the private sector. That period of time, we have to look at those earnings. What we do is we actually have a great fact sheet on our website that shows each year there is a bend point factor. There's a substantial gainful amount. So if in 1977 I made $2,000 and that amount says the substantial gainful amount was 300, then I get to count that. We're looking for if you have less than 20 years of work that you paid into Social Security, you are going to get reduced on your windfall almost 50%. So if my check is supposed to be $1,200, then I may only get $600 depending on that formula. So when we're looking at their work history, the system is counting any substantial gainful years to try to get them to 30 years. At 30 years, they would not potentially have any kind of offset or decrease in their check. So just dependent between 20 and 30 years, the system is counting those years to determine which years actually count as a substantial year. Most people through their life, if they are a teacher, they're most likely going to get offset anywhere from 40 to 50% on their benefit amount. Does that sound confusing?
What she said.
The fact sheet. Sandy, can you say how do you get to the fact sheet real quick?
I have a link to the fact sheet. I'm trying to put it in the.
It is the best tool that Social Security can pass out. On our end, they have to be able to go into their My SSA account and look at their benefit statement because they're going to get that fact sheet, and you're going to get the fact sheet, and you're going to get your work history, and you're going to start counting the number of substantial years you have. And on the right side of that fact sheet, all you have to do is look at whether you have 20 years or more, and it gives you figures on the side. It's a great tool for anyone to use.
Excellent. Thank you. If that wasn't the question on windfall, please feel free to repost your question.
Yes.
We're going to get to those. We've got some great questions here. Couple more to get to. Here's one I don't know the answer to. This is in regarding marriage and spousal benefits. Some Native people do not get legally married, and sometimes they're married in the traditional sense. Can the spouse receive benefits if they are not legally married, and how?
I can take that one.
Thanks, Peggy.
Sure. So that is definitely a common situation that we see in Montana, because Montana does recognize common law marriage. Each state has different laws governing common law marriage. So in a state that does recognize common law marriage, we're able to help the applicant go through a process where if they view the person as their spouse, if they have, for example, if they have property together, people call them husband and wife, or they refer to each other as their spouse. If that's happening, then we have development for that. And so I've seen couples very, very often have been together for 20 years, been together for 40 years, just didn't see the need to actually have an actual ceremony because they believe they were already married. So we looked at that as a common law situation. But to answer that question completely, we want to make sure we know what the state says as far as common law, so we can apply the state law in the state that you live in, so that we can pay benefits or not.
Thanks, Peggy. So
Hi, Renee. I'm
Yes.
so sorry to barge in, but we're getting near to the end of the time we had
We are.
scheduled. Yeah, so I'm just wanting to be respectful of everybody's time. It seems like there's so many questions still, so I don't know how we'd like to go forward.
Absolutely. If there's a way we can capture those questions, we could try to answer some of these questions in the blast that goes out, Becky. Otherwise, I would recommend that they resubmit the question to the email box here that's listed on the screen, aian.ec@ssa.gov. We do have about 20 more questions that we did not get to, and we would like to get to all your questions. So if you will submit your questions to us, let us know if we can email you the response back, or if it's really detailed and it depends, then it would be better for us to have a number to contact you and give you a call and answer your question. So with that, Becky, I just have to say thank you to NACOA one more time. Interested in feedback, if you can send feedback in the aian.ec@ssa.gov, let us know. If we didn't capture information today that you would have liked to have heard, maybe we can include in our future presentations, future engagements. We'd love to hear from you. There is a conference in September, as was mentioned, September 25th in Cherokee, North Carolina for NACOA. If there's any particular type of presentation that you would be interested in, or a listening session, roundtable, what have you, whatever would be most beneficial for us to continue the conversation, we'd love to hear from you as well. With that, I want to thank all the panel members here. You did a fabulous job answering some difficult questions right here on the fly. I know there's some more difficult questions in there that we will get to, but I appreciate the panelists here and the presenters, and Becky and Kayla, for supporting us. And that is a wrap for today.